You wake up, scroll for 20 minutes, rush through your morning, grab coffee on the way to work. The world has convinced you that transformation requires dramatic shifts, a new career, a radical diet, a spiritual awakening. But here's what nobody tells you. The most powerful force in your life isn't inspiration, it's repetition. And the habits that actually transform your existence are so boring, so mundane. This is the trap. You're searching for the extraordinary while ignoring the systematic accumulation of microscopic advantages. The uncomfortable truth is that value creation in any domain, whether financial, physical, social, it rewards consistency over intensity. It rewards boring over exciting. And it punishes those who confuse entertainment with effectiveness. This isn't a motivation video. Motivation is emotional fuel that burns out in 72 hours. What you're about to understand is the architecture of transformation itself. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to create value in any situation. But first, you need to accept something difficult. The reason your life hasn't changed isn't because you lack information. You know you should eat better, save money, exercise, read more. The reason nothing changes is because you've been conditioned to seek complexity when you've been trained to chase feelings when actions are what matter. Let's fix that. The moment you open your eyes in the morning, your body is in a state of mild dehydration. You've spent 6 to 8 hours without water. Your blood is thicker. Your brain is operating at reduced capacity, and your energy systems are compromised. Most people reach for coffee, which is a stimulant masking the problem, not solving it. The boring habit that changes everything is drinking water immediately upon waking. Not eventually. Not after you check your phone. Immediately. This isn't about health in some abstract sense. This is about cognitive function and decision-making capacity in the first 2 hours of your day. When your brain is even 2% dehydrated, your working memory, attention span, you're making financial decisions, having important conversations. The people who win aren't smarter, they're hydrated. They understand that the brain is an electrochemical organ that requires proper fluid balance to function. Drink 500 milliliters of water before anything else. Every single day, no exceptions. This seems too simple to matter, which is exactly why most people never do it and exactly why it works. Making your bed is not about cleanliness. It's about winning before your day even begins. The psychology here is brutal in its simplicity. When you complete a task, any task, within minutes of waking, you trigger a micro-release of dopamine. Your brain registers accomplishment. This creates momentum. The alternative is starting your day with an unmade bed, which is a visual representation of incompletion. Your subconscious absorbs this. You're training yourself that incomplete is acceptable. Now expand this pattern to your finances, your fitness, your relationships. The person who can't make their bed reliably cannot manage a business, cannot build wealth. This isn't metaphorical. This is causal. The military has known this for generations. The first thing every recruit learns is to make their bed to exact standards because discipline it's a psychological muscle that strengthens with use. Start with something so simple you can't fail and never break the pattern. This is how identity shifts. You become someone who finishes what they start, and that identity scales to everything else you touch. After you eat, your blood sugar spikes. This is biochemistry, not preference. Your body floods your bloodstream with glucose. And if you sit still, this is the post-meal fatigue everyone accepts as normal. It's not normal, it's the consequence of inactivity. A 10-minute walk after eating changes the equation entirely. You're not exercising, you're directing glucose into your muscles instead of your fat cells. You're stabilizing your blood sugar so you don't experience the energy collapse that destroys your afternoon. This is mechanical. Studies show that walking after meals can reduce blood sugar spikes by up to 30%. For someone building a business, creating content, or managing complex projects, the boring habit here is non-negotiable consistency. After breakfast, walk. After lunch, walk. After dinner, walk 10 minutes. The people who accumulate wealth and influence don't have better genetics or more willpower. They've eliminated the crashes that make other people useless. Your circadian rhythm is not a suggestion, it's a biological law. When you sleep at random hours, binge watch until 3 in the morning, or scroll until you pass out. The boring habit that solves this is going to bed at the same time every night, including weekends. This seems restrictive until you realize what you're buying. You're buying the ability to wake up naturally, without an alarm, with energy and mental clarity. You're synchronizing your body with its natural cortisol and melatonin cycles. The result is that your mornings aren't a war against yourself. You're not dragging yourself out of bed, fighting grogginess, chugging stimulants just to feel human. You wake up ready. And that difference, multiplied across 365 days, the people who control their time, their income, their influence, all share this trait. They protect their sleep schedule like a sacred boundary because they understand that everything they want to. Decision fatigue is invisible but lethal. Every choice you make throughout the day depletes a finite resource in your prefrontal cortex. By the time you've decided what to wear, what to eat, which email to answer first, which route to take, this is why every successful person you study has a uniform. Steve Jobs wore the same thing. Zuckerberg wears the same thing. Obama wore the same thing. Not because they lack creativity, but because they've weaponized boredom. The boring habit here is eating the same breakfast every single day. Oatmeal, eggs, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, it matters that it's decided. You wake up, you drink water, you make your bed, you eat your predetermined breakfast. You've preserved your mental energy for the work that actually generates value. This is invisible to most people because it feels like you're sacrificing variety for monotony. Variety in investment returns, business outcomes, and creative output is priceless. Spend your decision-making capacity where it compounds. You cannot manage what you do not measure. This applies to your body weight, your productivity, and especially your money. Most people genuinely don't know where their money goes. They earn, they spend, they feel broke, they repeat. There's no tracking, no accountability, no confrontation with reality. The boring habit that breaks this cycle is writing down every single expense. Not budgeting, not planning, just tracking. You buy coffee, you write it down. You pay a subscription, you write it down. You order takeout, you write it down. This is uncomfortable because it forces you to see the truth. You're not broke because you don't earn enough. You're broke because you hemorrhage small amounts constantly. When you track, patterns emerge. You see that you spend $200 a month on food delivery. You see that you're paying for 3 streaming services you don't use. You see that your impulse purchases add up to a car payment. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you're forced to choose. Do you want the dopamine hit of buying something useless? This is the choice that separates people who build wealth from people who rent their entire lives. Track everything for 30 days. No judgment, just data. The data will radicalize you. Your phone before bed is destroying you in ways you don't consciously recognize. Blue light suppresses melatonin, which delays sleep onset, which reduces sleep quality. But beyond the biology, there's the content itself. You're ending your day by absorbing other people's opinions, other people's problems. The boring habit that reverses this is reading physical books before bed. Not articles, not ebooks, physical books. Fiction or nonfiction, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're replacing passive consumption with active engagement. Your brain is processing narrative or ideas instead of scrolling through fragmented chaos. The effect on sleep quality is immediate. You fall asleep faster, you sleep deeper, and you wake up without the residual mental noise that comes from... But here's the hidden leverage. You're also reading 20 to 30 pages a night. The wealth gap and the reading gap are the same gap. Read before bed, every night, no exceptions. Sunday is the day that determines your week. Most people treat Sunday as recovery from the weekend, a day to be lazy, to avoid preparation. The people who control their schedules do the opposite. They spend 2 hours on Sunday preparing every meal for the week. This is called meal prep, and it's boring, repetitive, and absolutely non-negotiable if you want to stop. Here's the math. Cooking once and eating 7 times is exponentially more efficient than cooking 7 times. You're buying in bulk, which is cheaper. You're cooking in bulk, which is faster. You're eliminating the weekday decision of what to eat, which preserves mental energy. And most importantly, you're eliminating the trap of ordering food when you're tired, stressed. That's when bad decisions happen. That's when you spend $15 on something worth $3. Meal prep removes the decision point entirely. You open the fridge, the food is there, you eat it. You've saved time, saved money, and stabilized your energy throughout the week. This is how you win. Not through heroic effort on Monday, but through boring preparation on Sunday. You think you're taking a break when you scroll during downtime? You're not. Your brain never rests when it's consuming content. It's processing, reacting, comparing, judging. Real rest requires real boredom. The boring habit here is taking breaks without any screen. Sit and do nothing. Stare out a window. Walk without your phone. Let your mind wander. This feels intolerable at first because you've trained yourself to fear silence. But this is where creativity lives. This is where solutions emerge. This is where your subconscious processes the problems you've been grinding on all day. Every major breakthrough you've ever had came during a moment of mental stillness. The people who generate value, who create intellectual property, who solve complex problems, they build it into their day deliberately. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon. No phone, no input, just stillness. This seems like wasted time until you realize that an idea born from stillness can be worth more than a year. Protect your boredom like it's a competitive advantage, because it is. Your environment shapes your mental state in ways you don't consciously track. A cluttered space creates a cluttered mind, not metaphorically, but neurologically. Visual chaos increases cortisol, which impairs focus, which reduces productivity. The boring habit that prevents this is cleaning for 10 minutes every single day. Not deep cleaning, not organizing, just maintaining. You spend 10 minutes putting things back, wiping surfaces. The result is that you never face the overwhelming task of cleaning an entire space because it never gets that. You're maintaining order instead of battling entropy, and the psychological effect is profound. You wake up to a clean space. You work in a clean space. You go to bed in a clean space. Your baseline stress is lower, your mental clarity is higher, and your capacity for deep work is greater. This is invisible leverage. 10 minutes a day, every day, forever. The cost is trivial. The return is exponential. Now let's address the pattern you've probably noticed. Every habit I've described is boring. Drinking water isn't exciting. Making your bed isn't glamorous. Tracking expenses isn't fun. And that's the entire point. The world is designed to sell you exciting solutions because excitement is marketable. Boredom is not. But here's the truth that changes everything. Boredom is the filter. Boredom is the barrier between people who want results and people who want entertainment. If you can't tolerate the boredom of consistency, you will never access the rewards of compounding. This is not a moral judgment, it's a mechanical reality. Wealth, health, influence, skill, all of these compound slowly through repetitive actions that are boring to. The person who drinks water every morning for 10 years has better health outcomes than the person who The person who saves 10% every paycheck for 10 years has more wealth than the person who tries to get. The person who writes every day for 10 years has more skill than the person who binges inspiration and burns. Boredom is not the cost of success. Boredom is the proof that you're doing something that works. If it's exciting, it's probably not compounding. Before we go deeper, I need you to do something. If this is making sense to you, if you're recognizing the patterns in your own life, I choose boring over broken. That's it. No explanation needed, just declare it. Because here's what happens when you make a public commitment. Your brain registers it as identity. You're not saying you'll try, you're saying you are. And that distinction rewrites how you see yourself and how you act. This is why people who announce their goals publicly are statistically more likely to achieve them. They've created accountability, both external and internal. So, comment now. I choose boring over broken. And while you're at it, subscribe to this channel, not because I need it. The like button works the same way. It's a micro-commitment that your subconscious registers as agreement. These seem like small actions, but small actions compound, and you already know that. Now we shift. Everything you've learned so far is foundational. It's designed to stabilize your energy, your focus, your finances, and your environment. But the next level requires a different mindset. What comes next isn't for people looking for life hacks or quick wins. It's for people ready to make decisions that create long-term leverage. This is where most people stop. They implement the basics, they feel better, and they plateau. They never cross into the territory where real wealth and real influence are built. But if you're still here, you're not most people. The concept of paying yourself first sounds simple, but almost nobody does it correctly. Here's what most people do. Money hits their account, they pay their bills, they spend on lifestyle. This is financial survival, not financial strategy. The boring habit that builds wealth is inverting this sequence entirely. The moment money enters your account, before you pay a single bill, you transfer a percentage to investments. 10%, 20%, whatever you can sustain, but it happens first. This is non-negotiable. You're treating your future self as your most important creditor. This requires saying no to things you want today in exchange for freedom tomorrow. It's boring because it's delayed gratification. It's uncomfortable because it forces you to live on less than you earn. But this is the only path to financial independence. You cannot spend your way to wealth, you can only invest your way there. And investment requires capital, and capital requires discipline. Automate this. Set up the transfer so it happens without you thinking about it. Remove the decision point entirely. Pay yourself first, every time, forever. The modern economy is engineered to trigger impulse purchases. Ads are designed by psychologists. Product pages are optimized for conversion. One-click buying removes friction. The entire system is designed to bypass your rational brain and target your emotional brain. The boring habit that protects you is the 48-hour rule. You see something you want, you feel the urge to buy, and you wait. You add it to a list, you set a reminder for 48 hours, and you walk away. In the vast majority of cases, the urge fades. You realize you didn't need it. You realize it was a dopamine chase, not a genuine purchase. And you've saved money that can now compound into actual wealth. This is boring because it's discipline. It's denying yourself immediate gratification in exchange for long-term advantage. But here's the deeper game. Every time you successfully resist an impulse purchase, you're rewiring your brain. You're strengthening your prefrontal cortex's control over your limbic system. You're building the capacity to delay gratification, which is the single strongest predictor of success in any 48 hours. No exceptions. Your free time is your most valuable asset, and most people waste it. They finish work, they're tired, and they choose entertainment that requires zero effort. Streaming, scrolling, gaming, whatever. There's nothing wrong with rest. But there's a difference between rest and mental atrophy. The boring habit that separates those who build wealth from those who stay stuck is using part of your free, not inspirational content, not entertainment disguised as education, but real skills. Coding, sales, copywriting, video editing, financial analysis, whatever aligns with your goals. This is boring because it's hard. It's studying when you're tired. It's practicing when you'd rather relax. But here's the economic truth. Money is a function of value, and value is a function of skill. The rarer and more useful your skill, the more you can charge for your time. This is mechanical. If you can do what 10 people can do, you're worth average wages. If you can do what 100 people can do, you're worth 10 times more. If you can do what 1,000 people can do, you're worth exponentially more. The gap between average and exceptional is not talent, it's time invested in deliberate skill acquisition. Trade entertainment for education, consistently, and you'll never worry about money again. This is the pattern. The habits that transform your life are systematically boring. They require consistency over intensity, discipline over motivation. They are ignored by most people not because they don't work. But significance compounds. Drinking water every morning for a decade creates better health than any detox. Saving 10% every month for a decade creates more wealth than any lottery ticket. Learning one skill deeply creates more income than any get-rich-quick scheme. The people at the top didn't get there through luck or inspiration. And now you know exactly what those habits are. The question is whether you'll implement them. Most won't, because boring is hard to sell to yourself when exciting is everywhere. But if you choose boring, if you choose systems over feelings, if you choose consistency over intensity, not immediately, but inevitably. And inevitable is better than exciting. Inevitable is what compounds. Inevitable is what wins.